Hello, it's me again. So, I have seen that Sony has recently announced that they are going to remaster The Last of Us Part 2 for the PlayStation 5. And I knew this was going to happen after my video was going to be released, because there were already leaks happening of the game being remastered for the PlayStation 5. And yeah, I think I think it's completely unnecessary. Why remaster a game that already looks fine, plays fine, and runs at 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5? If you didn't know, you can play PS4 games on the PlayStation 5 because it's backwards compatible with the console. So I don't really understand why even bother making a remaster of The Last of Us Part 2. It just feels kind of unnecessary. It's like Naughty Dog are currently developing the Factions 2 game, like the multiplayer game for The Last of Us. That is a sequel to the first game's multiplayer. And we still haven't gotten any news on that, like at all. And it just feels kind of like they wasted their time developing The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for the PlayStation 5 instead of just focusing on Factions 2. Either focusing on Factions 2 or developing a brand new game that has nothing to do with The Last of Us. Because Naughty Dog has just been pumping out The Last of Us content these last few years. We got The Last of Us Part 1, which is a remake of the original game. We got The Last of Us TV show, which was a retelling of the first game. And now we're getting The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. It's like they have just been pumping nothing but The Last of Us content these last few years. It's like, what the heck is going on at Naughty Dog for them to just making The Last of Us games instead of doing something new? And I think this has something to do with Neil Druckmann, because, you know, he's the president at Naughty Dog now and everything. But like, I don't want to get into him right now. So yeah, The Last of Us, Sony has released this trailer for The Last of Us, and we all know what is going to be on it, like 4K fidelity. Like, we know every PlayStation 5 game has 4K modes. We get like increased texture resolution, which, yeah, like obviously we're getting that. It's remastered. We're getting increased level of detail from the distance, which is, it's all cool and all, but it's like the game is already pretty linear. It doesn't really matter too much, because like these features, like increased texture resolution, increased level of detail, faster loading, 4K, like these are all nice and all, but they don't really like enhance the experience of an already of a game that already plays fine the way it is. Like, the game looks fine for PlayStation 4, and it looks fine when you play it on the PlayStation 5 as well, especially with the 60 FPS. So I don't really understand what's the point of having all these things, like faster loading. The only time the game really loads is when you load up a save file, and then you're already in the game, and the rest of the game does not have any loading screens at all. We get, from the video, we get new outfits for Ellie and Abby, which is like, yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. And then we get lost levels, which I think this one actually kind of bothers me, because, so apparently those are earlier versions, those were like early death levels that they were making during the development, and they didn't finish them for the original game, so they're gonna bring them in for this one. And what bothers me about that is, like, The Last of Us Part 2 already has pacing issues. It's already like drawing out the game for as long as they can with padding and unnecessary side missions and filler, that it feels kind of unnecessary to add 3 more levels that pad out the game even more. Like, looking at the footage, that looks like the section that plays at the end of the game, where the slavers arrive and kidnap Abby. That section is already like pretty bad, because that section is just padding out the game for as long as they can until we get to the end of it. it's already a pretty poorly made level. So I don't understand why we need like more levels to that section at all. One is like at the town. I don't really understand what purpose that serves. Like from the looks of it, it takes place during the flashback where they were at the dance and Dina and Ellie kissed. It looks like that. I don't really understand the purpose of this section here. I think it's you walking to Joel or something. Could be. I don't know. But I don't really understand why it's necessary for me to walk around in these sections. Because like a lot of The Last of Us Part 2 is already just walking and talking, especially in those flashbacks that are just nothing but you walking and pressing the triangle button sometimes to interact with something. And it's already pretty unnecessary. Then we get guitar free play, which that's cool and all, but like I don't really understand why that's like a necessary feature for this $70 game that they're gonna release. It's like, is that really worth $70 for a remaster? Then we get the game mode No Return, which is like a zombie. They describe it as a roguelike survival mode, so I guess it's like you go around killing zombies and an amount of time, and you have like a time limit or something. That's like and that's all we got from the trailer. That's it. That's all we get, and I don't understand how these features are really worth remastering The Last of Us Part 2, because like I said at the beginning, the game already looks fine, it plays fine, it already runs at 60 FPS, it already has tons of accessibility features. I don't understand why having a DualSense support from your DualSense controller is really all that necessary, because like, let's be honest, that controller doesn't really enhance the gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2. It did for like some games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man 2, where they actually used the controller's abilities to their advantage. But like a game like The Last of Us Part 2, there's really nothing that really utilizes the DualSense controller, because it's like all you do is shoot and kill. So yeah, I don't really understand why they would do that. It's pretty unnecessary. Now, I'm not really going to say what you should do with your money, because that's your money, and yeah. But like, I personally wouldn't recommend you getting this remaster, because Sony can't just keep getting away with releasing The Last of Us, and Naughty Dog and Sony can't just keep getting away with this. Like, they have done absolutely nothing these last few years than to just pump out The Last of Us content. It's just ridiculous. I want to see Naughty Dog actually do something new and not replay The Last of Us 1, replay The Last of Us Part 2, and in the US to pay $70 for this game, because this is just ridiculous. I already have these games and they play no different than how they did. The remastered version already runs at 60 FPS. The Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation 5 already runs at 60 FPS. I don't understand why I need to pay $70 to play these games. So yeah, I'm not gonna buy it, obviously. Like, I'm not gonna buy it. The only reason I really replayed The Last of Us Part 2 was just to make this video. And I don't really think I'm ever going to replay The Last of Us Part 2 unless someone forces me to or something. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting this game. Like, I wouldn't waste your time buying this. I'm not gonna do it. I don't know if you're gonna do it, but like, I wouldn't recommend it. So like, yeah, I am currently working on another video. I hope this will come out soon. And yeah, see you next time.